Good morning, everyone. Glad you could join us today for our continued information that we're providing to you concerning the coronavirus. I appreciate you tuning in and spending a little bit of time with me on your Saturday. So thank you for that. Starting off, I'd like to kind of give you some brief overviews of what have happened in this past week. So on 3/17, I issued an order which gave New Milford a state of emergency. The reason for doing this state of emergency was twofold. One was to give the availability and flexibility as we as a town can use. Also, it allows us to get some additional funding when we can get that through FEMA, if available. We need to be in a state of emergency. And also it keeps us in alignment with the state itself, which Governor Lamont put in a state of emergency. Also on March 19th, our first resident tested positive for the coronavirus. That particular person is recuperating and is at home under self-quarantine. We wish her a very speedy recovery. Her husband and also her child are also self-quarantined. And again, we'd like to wish her a safe recovery. With that in mind, we'd like you to still continue on things that are best practices that we all know. First is hand hygiene, which is to make sure to do hand washes thoroughly, 20 seconds under your spout if you can, and make sure that you use a clean towel or paper towel or whatever to dry your hands. Also, if you don't have that particular, if you're not near soap, near water, any kind of hand sanitizer is beneficial as well. The more that we can do this common practices, the better for everyone. On top of that is also what we call social distancing. So one of the main things that we're looking to do is keep people at a distance, which then halts or slows the spread of the coronavirus. We're recommending that you stay 6 feet apart from one another and have no more than 10 people congregating at one time. These are very important. As we've all heard, read in the news, or seen on TV, that mitigating the spread is paramount. This helps us keep our hospitals up and running, because the main thing we don't want to have happen is have them inundated. Also, Governor Lamont, I was on a conference call with the governor yesterday, and he has issued some new guidelines as it comes to businesses. Essential businesses will only be opened after 8 p.m. on Monday. They're going to be your hospitals, town government. It's going to be your stores, liquor stores, your auto mechanics, infrastructure, utilities, IT, and the list goes on. We're going to be providing that on our town website on Monday as we get kind of our final guidance between today and tomorrow evening. So I'd like to thank Governor Lamont and our commissioners for all their help during this pandemic. Also, New Milford schools will be offering free breakfast and lunch to any New Milford school resident 18 years or younger. You're going to be able to go to Sarah Noble School from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Again, that's Sarah Noble School, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 11 to 1, and that's breakfast and lunch they will give you to take home. Also, they're going to be starting their their distance learning plan that they'll be giving for their students. They're going to do that on Monday. I believe they're going to be communicating through email. We'll also be posting it on our social sites as well to keep you informed of their distance learning plan. On the conference call that we had with the governor, one of the things that he did mention before was our small businesses and the impact on pretty much all of our businesses, as some are requested to shut down and some are partially. Some of the partial ones that we're talking about is the bars and the restaurants. Restaurants can still continue to do delivery, curbside pickup. Those particular businesses really need your help and support. So if you could support them by, doing an order offer their menu and picking it up or have them delivered to you. The more we can keep our small businesses, especially restaurants, afloat, the better that it is. The governor has declared this an economic disaster area, the whole state of Connecticut, which allows for the Small Business Administration to give economic injury disaster loans programs. So if you're interested, please go to the Small Business Administration website, and they have information on how to apply and how to do that moving forward. They have a lot of other resources available. For those New Milford residents that have been laid off due to the coronavirus, please visit the Connecticut Department of Labor website. They'll be able to direct you to how to get unemployment benefits, and they have other pertinent information for you concerning employment and the coronavirus. The next thing, too, is we continue to have our Corona task force, which is comprised of our first responders, our school, many others, our EOC command staff, our social services, our senior center, and the list goes on, that we're all working together to see what we can do as far as helping our residents and plan for that. We've been doing this for over a month now, and some of the highlights that we've talked about, Police Chief Ceruto was informing the task force on how we are going to be policing during these times, making sure that our policemen stay safe, have a distance between when they're doing their work. So there's a protocols being in place there as well. Also concerning our town buildings, as I said at our last time that we spoke, our town buildings are closed and they're only done by appointment only. This is to ensure the health and safety of our town employees, to make sure that we have the proper social distancing. So the first thing I would recommend, if you do have an issue or a question, please call Town Hall or call the correct department. And through technology, we may be able to help you via the internet and via the phone rather than having you have to come downtown, or to any one of our other town buildings. So it keeps you safe and also keeps the town employees safe. Also, we continue to provide our town employees with the proper protocols for hand sanitation as well. As we all know, as I just said before, that's a very important component in this coronavirus, making sure that we try and mitigate as much as we can. Dr. K at the New Milford Hospital, who's also on the task force, had told us about how the protocols are happening with the coronavirus as it comes to the hospitals. And Danbury Hospital is going to be the main center of triage that we have in our area. They have an entire wing now that is dedicated towards the coronavirus, and as more information becomes available, we'll also be talking about that and updating you, the public, as well. I'd like to thank Ivana, our social services director, as it came down to our food bank. We have a new protocol as it comes to the food bank, where we are checking, making sure people are okay, and we're actually handing out at the food bank outside versus them coming in to the building. So I'd like to thank Ivana on coming up with these new protocols and how we interact with our public. So thank you, Ivana. Also our senior center team, led by Carolyn. We are not taking any appointments inside any longer, but are fielding questions from our seniors and helping our seniors outside, whether it be by appointment outside, doing the buses to the appointments that they need, whether it be medical or food, and we're working outside versus inside, so to speak. So I'd like to thank Carolyn and her team as well. I'd also like to thank Big Y Supermarket and Stop and Shop for allowing the seniors to have early in the morning, to have some time for the seniors to go out and get the resources they need. So we'd like to thank them for thinking out of the box and helping our seniors, which, according to the experts, is really the most vulnerable population when it comes to the coronavirus. So we'd like to thank them for that. Also, moving forward, as Governor Lamont on his conference call talked about, there's going to be continuing tightening for social distancing, as the thought process is by some of the medical experts that we're entering the time now where you're going to see more of a ramp up of people with coronavirus and being checked for the coronavirus. So it's important to continue with keeping that social distance, keeping the groups of people interacting to 10 or less. And I've gotten a lot of calls and a lot of emails from concerned residents about some of our youth that are congregating in more than 10 people. What I'd like to ask all of our residents is please listen to the experts, keep the congregating to less than 10 because it is very, very important. One thing we don't want to do is transfer this virus because in some of us there's not even any kind of symptoms, and we don't want to give it to our most vulnerable population, whether it be our seniors or those with pre-existing conditions. So it's very important to listen to the experts and, like I said, keep the social congregation to less than 10 and also keep the social distance 6 feet or more. One of the truly blessed things that we do have in our town is our wonderful parks and our wonderful trails. They are open, and you can get out and walk and get some exercise in that way. And if you do see somebody you're passing by, please do the 6 feet distance. But the little bit of exercise that you can get out with you and your family, the better it is for yourself, your health, and for the community. Also, I have instructed as of Monday, I put an order in non-essential town employees will be working from home moving forward, and our essential employees will continue their work as they do starting on Monday as well. The goal is to protect our town employees, but also provide service that's needed as we run a government, for our residents here in New Milford. Also, kind of a heads up as well, is as we begin our strategy and have for the past month, looking at how we plan for the foreseeable future. There is some of the experts that believe that this is going to be a longer process than the 14 days that has been spoken about. So we're looking at all avenues as if this is going to be more of a defined period, a longer period. So we're looking at everything from logistics disruptions to employees that may themselves be in contact with the coronavirus. We're putting plans in place and have plans in place to make sure that we're still running our government and still keeping our residents and our employees safe. Before I move on any further, I'd like to open it up to any questions that we may have. The firsts are to Andrea Letty. Are you getting facts on hospital cases? Yes, Andrea, we are getting some facts on cases. It depends on kind of the timeline. And we are getting some, and that's coming from our Director of Health, Mike Crespin. He would be the one that would be getting those information and statistics. When we do talk about different procedures, Mike is very integral in those things as well because he is the Director of Health, and he also is in contact with the Connecticut Department of Health as well. The next is Julian. How is New Milford Hospital treating patients coming in? Screening for coronaviruses and separating them. What is their capacity? Thanks, Julian. So the capacity is, the protocol now is twofold. So if you feel that you have a symptom of the coronavirus, you are told to call your general practitioner. Your general practitioner will then assess you, and then if needed, will write a order. That order will allow you to go down to Danbury Hospital because they're the ones right now that have the testing capability. You will then go through one of the drive-through tests, and there you will get tested. If you believe or have the symptoms of almost a full-blown type of coronavirus where you have the issue breathing, you have issues, high fevers that are all part of the coronavirus and need immediate assistance and call 911, what would happen is the dispatchers would ask whoever's on the phone a few questions, assess the need, and then tone to the first responders a certain tone that has those first responders coming to where the sick individual is, and they would be in a gown, mask, shield, gloves, and then that person would be taken to Danbury Hospital. Danbury Hospital has now a full wing that are full floor directed towards the coronavirus. So the goal at this particular point in time is to do the triage at Danbury Hospital. From Pat Erickson, Northville Market will soon be doing senior hours and curbside pickup. They are asking no reusable bags be brought in, and they have free paper bags. So that is outstanding. Pat, thanks for letting us know, and thank you for Northville Market for helping us out, especially with our seniors. That's great to see more businesses doing that. Jessica Tuz, how are you handling the Public Works Department? Although they are considered essential, the work they are currently doing is not essential. So, Jessica, Public Works does do essential work. On our conference call with the governor, it was asked by some of the mayors and first selectmen concerning Public Works, and Governor Lamont said that they are to be remained open. Public Works does amazing things. If we have issues with the road safety, if we have drainage issues, potholes, and whatnot, they are an essential part of the government and how it runs. I had a meeting with our Public Works employees. As a matter of fact, I met with all of our employees in each one of their departments. First, I thanked them for all of their efforts that they're doing each and every day, and how much that means to our residents and our business base, and how important they are. I also let them know that if they needed to take time off, they could use sick time, accrual time. If they felt they needed to take that off, to please do so, because we want to make sure that our health and safety of our town employees is paramount. But also with that in mind is making sure that our town government continues to operate. Next is from Kathleen. Will there be a testing center in New Milford? So right now, Kathleen, according to Nuvance, everything is going to be in Danbury for the time being now. But as this coronavirus continues, and if there's more people becoming infected, Nuvance may change the way and change their protocols. But as of right now, the thing is to bring people to Danbury and be tested down there, because that's where they have most of their personnel geared towards the coronavirus down in Danbury. They're able to help that. From Mr. Savage, are there any protections from evictions and utility shutoffs? Yes, there is. The governor put an order in. You can go to a couple of different websites. The first is the Economic Development website. They have some links that you can go to there. Also, the Connecticut Department of Banking when it comes to rents and foreclosures, and you can see the links there. We'll be posting those things as well as things change Monday on our website, which is www.milford.org, to have kind of a one-stop area to go to all these different links that are going to be coming up. Also, any news cases in our town, I do pray for everyone that recovers. Thank you, Angie. We did have one resident, a female between ages of 45 and 60, that did test positive. She is home recovering, and we wish her well. She is under self-quarantine. Her husband and also her child are under self-quarantine as well. And from what I understand, both of those people have not exhibited any signs of the virus. Also, from M, once you contacted the virus, can it be reinfected? So first and foremost, I'm not a doctor. I can only give you the advice of what I have been told, and that is you can get reinfected with a different type of strain of the coronavirus. They're continuing to update this as we go through everything, but from what I've been told, pretty much you could get a different type of strain because there's many different types of strains of coronavirus. From Dina, will we eventually have a curfew in New Milford that may affect businesses? So currently there is no plans to put in a curfew, but things change hourly and daily depending on what the governor ascertains, what he may do for the state. If it's a full state ordinance or a full state order, then New Milford would reply. But as far as New Milford locally, there are no plans right now for doing that. From Donna, even more important is that first responders are sorely in need of gowns and masks. New Milford ambulance needs them ASAP. So one of the things during our task force that we did talk about is the fact that as in the nation, we have a shortage of supplies for our first responders. So we're reaching out to all areas that we possibly can, including our federal state partners as well as our private partners, to see if we can get these much needed resources to our first responders because they're the boots on the ground and they're the real heroes that are going to be during this pandemic. Next is from Pat. Is there a way the community can donate to meals for seniors? So yes, you can. There's a couple of ways. First, I would recommend calling the Senior Center and talking to Carolyn Haglin. And they have funds that you can donate to. And second is the culinary school run by Dawn Hamicott. They're doing wonderful things. They are also helping. They provide meals for our seniors as well. They're a nonprofit, and they are ready and when needed to help provide more meals for seniors and anybody else that we need. And they are part of our plan moving forward. So those are two kind of quick ways that you can do to help your seniors. Another way too is to donate to our social services food bank. They had a lot more people this week than last week, and will continue with this economic part of the pandemic hitting a lot of people, especially with layoffs. So there's going to be more need for more food for those less fortunate. So if you could give to the food bank. So there's three ways you can help the New Milford community right away. So if you are blessed to have those resources, we'd really appreciate any help that you could do for us. From Carrie, I understand daycares need to be open for essential workers, but those of us out of work or pulling our kids out for safety, why do we need to pay? Isn't that like price gouging? Hi, Carrie. So on our conference call, we did speak with the governor concerning daycares, and the thought process continues to be to keep the daycares open so that first responders can make sure that they have a safe place for their children as they do the work. First responders also include doctors, nurses, ambulance, fire, police. And if they have to be taken out of the workforce for first responders, especially when it's doctors and nurses, and if in fact the hospitals get inundated, that's going to make it much worse for everyone. As for paying for the daycares, that would be something you'd have to take up with your private daycare facility and how that works. But currently the daycare centers will continue to be open according to Governor Lamont. I have another question. Is there something local legislation can do to help us during this time to ensure we hold our spots are not being taken advantage of? Kids aren't going, even 50%. So I'm assuming this may be a daycare question. If that is, then I would still recommend talking to your daycare centers, and I'm sure they're coming up with a plan if they are to close themselves, or if not to stay open, what you could do to help them as far as costs, especially if you yourself or someone that you know has been laid off. Also, concerning the layoffs, the government itself, both nationally with President Trump and the Congress, as well as Connecticut and the state legislatures, are all working on ways to get money to our residents to help during this coronavirus. This is something that they're continuing to work on, and hopefully by the middle of next week I can have some more information for you on that as well. Those things are going through the proper processes, but everyone is fully aware of the need for our citizenry to make sure that they have money for food, bills, utilities, mortgage, rent, and whatnot. For Pat, do you need volunteers to deliver meals? We spoke about that before. Chris, please remind people while enjoying our outdoors, please protect themselves from ticks, which are out now. Excellent point, Councilman. For those that are out, especially in the deeply wooded areas, we had a mild winter, which is going to mean more mosquitoes and more ticks. So make sure that your dog, if you can afford it, can get the proper tick medicine that you can get your veterinary place, or where you can get your dog foods or dog different incidentals with them. Also for yourself, make sure when you do out into the woods that you self-check. Make sure that you have any ticks. If one is a bite and you do get that bullseye, it's recommended to put that tick in a bag and you can bring it into the health department and we can get it checked for you. Also from Haley, how long do you think the quarantine will last? That's a great question, Haley. We are waiting for the full 15 days since we're going to have this quarantine, and then they will reassess. Once the government reassesses it, they may continue on, or they may open up different stores to be open and different ways for us to congregate. But it's going to be a wait and see, and right now they're going to just reassess once this 15 days is over. Don Lowe. Thank you, and thank you, Don Lowe. Don Lowe is the first selectman of Sherman, and I appreciate all of our towns together. Don is, like I said, the selectman in Sherman. We're here in New Milford, and we have our region, Bridgewater, Brookfield, New Fairfield, Danbury, and we're all working together as town leaders to make sure that our regional opportunities are taken. We are all part of what's called WestCog, which is the Western Council of Governments. So that goes from Sherman, New Milford, Bridgewater, all the way down to Greenwich. So we all try and work together. We were on a call earlier this week as well, and all in an efforts to provide the best service we possibly can for our taxpayers and residents. So Don, thank you, and I wish you all the best up there in Sherman as well. Let's see, we have from Miss Mandy, regarding the money we may be getting from the government. Is it a loan that will be paid back out of next year's taxes? A lot of people think it's free money. So Mandy, thank you for the question. So as far as I understand, depending on where the money would come from, if it's a federal, from what they're talking about is the federal government, from what I believe right now, it's an injection of money that you can use for your bills. It would be paid depending on your income per person, and then there'll also be some funding that would come for families that have children as well. I don't believe as of right now that it would be paid back, but that's something when the bills go through they will talk more about. The state is also looking at injection of monies into the economy. Some is loans that will be to our small businesses. Those may have an interest rate from 0% to I believe 3.25%. It all just depends on the business and the need for the loan. I was on a conference call Thursday with the governor and our economic development commissioner, and they are working feverishly with our state legislators, in crafting these proposals so that we can get money into our economy, especially here in New Milford. State Representative Buckby has been helping with this as well. As a matter of fact, I spoke to him this morning concerning one of our businesses in town, and I appreciate Representative Buckby's efforts up in Hartford. Next is from Katie. Please remember to check in with the elderly and those living alone to be sure they are okay. Absolutely correct, Councilwoman. One of the things as New Milford, as a community that we all love and hold dear, one of the things we can do that really doesn't cost anything is to check on our elderly neighbors to see if they need anything, they need any help. For us to really get through as a community, we all need to work together. We all need to help each other as we have been and will continue to do so. So thank you for that reminder, Councilwoman, and I think it's something that we all need to do and practice to do to help everyone. From Ron Evans, thanks for the updates. Thanks, Ron. I appreciate that. We're going to continue to update as much as we possibly can, not only on these YouTube and Facebook feeds, but also on our social sites and also on our reverse 911s. I did another one of those this morning as well, all in an effort to keep our residents and our business community as informed as possible as we go through these very trying times. And I can't thank our community enough as I do go from place to place. I can't thank our residents and our business community for their positiveness, for them understanding and knowing that we're going through this difficult time, but all knowing that we're going to work together to get through this. A real interesting kind of sidebar to this was I was talking with a senior right before we did these major shutdowns, and she was very, very funny, and she's just like, Pete, I've been through World War II, I've been through polio, I've been through measles, I've been through the Vietnam War, I've been through the Iran and Iraq wars, and we're all still here, and we're going to make it through this as well. And she just said, don't get nervous, let's just keep going as a community. And I thought that was wonderful, true Yankee American spirit, and I think that's what we just continue to do, move forward, work together, and get through this as a community, and show the rest of the area what New Milford's made of. Next is from Deborah. Is it recommended to wear face masks when venturing out? So there's different thoughts. A great question, Deborah. So there's different thoughts on face masks. Some people believe that you should be wearing them, and some people believe unless you're the one that's sick or going into an area where there is the virus, to wear that. I know from someone such as myself with a mask, because of the beard, it's going to be a little difficult for me to be fully protected in a way because of my beard. So it's going to be pretty much dependent on how you feel, but that's kind of what I've been told from our first responders. Next, absolutely, Katie, together we could keep New Milford strong and safe. I 1,000% agree with that. If we follow the proper protocols and procedures that have been recommended by the experts, which means, hand hygiene, making sure that we wash our hands as frequently as possible, making sure that we wash our clothes and our linen, making sure we take 6 feet distance for social distancing, making sure we don't go into crowds of 10 or more. We try and keep it to less than that. And we also try and stay at home as much as possible. And if we do some exercise, do it in a way where you're with a few people or just yourself. Do some walking in our wonderful nature that we have in New Milford that we're blessed with. I think if we do these things, it definitely helps reduce the risk, not only for yourself, your family members, or a senior that may be around you. The next from Lori. Can seniors get access to prescription availability during senior shopping hours? It is such a risk to keep returning for pickup during congested non-senior shopping hours. That's a great question, Lori. I will ask both of the national chains if that's something that that they have the availability to do. They may be working that already, but I definitely will check with them. They've been very receptive to any suggestions that have been made. And again, I can't thank those chains enough for doing that. And also, as we heard today, the Northville Market will be starting seniors hours as well. Next is, let's see, from Maggie. I didn't receive a call from the reverse 911 system. Who should I contact to add my number? Great question, Maggie. You can go on the New Milford Police Department website, and right on there's the opportunity to click the Everbright system, and there is where you can click it, put your contact information, and then that will put you into the system. So when we do these calls, you will get these calls. Again, go to the New Milford Police Department website, click on the Everbridge to get involved, and put your contact information, and then you will be getting those calls. Also, the link has been put on, so thank you, Grant. So you can just go there and hyperclick it if you're able to see this on your feeds. Also, another wonderful thing as well is some of the things that we're looking to do, which I'd like to talk about, is as our kids are out of school, some of our community people just doing some wonderful things. I was able to talk to Diane Swanson over at the Pratt Center and also the Pratt School. We took a nice walk, and was really the thoughts of keeping our children calm, letting them get a lot of exercise during these times, and also reading a book. You can read a book out on one of the trails. You can read a book at home on your steps. Just the availability to read a book. I'd also like to thank Northville Elementary, as they're doing daily readings, and I think that's a wonderful endeavor. And we also are working on something with the New Milford Library. It's going to be kind of a surprise where we're going to be doing something similar. So I'm also excited about that. So the more we can engage our youth, I think that's a great thing for them, and also for us, kind of a give back kind of thing. And reading that story at the Pratt Center, it was very enjoyable. Kind of brought me back to when I was reading them for my 3 daughters when they were much younger. So that was wonderful. From Linda, as a tag teacher in New Milford, I'd like to give a shout out and round out to Alicia DeCorpo and the team that created the plan for online learning. So thank you, Linda. I know that's been a big task for our New Milford group as it comes to when we made these, the governor made these requests to shut things down. And it's great that we're getting the online learning courses developed for our New Milford residents. So as you just said, thank you to everyone involved in getting that up and going. We really appreciate that. I know our parents, some of our students, and some of them may, that have had kind of this little bit of break, may not like so much, but I think it's great that all of us are able to see the fruition of this, and thank you. And thank you to Dr. Parker as well, who's our superintendent. Next is the teachers are getting ready to enact the plan next week, and I personally can't wait to be back in touch with my students. So that's great. It's great to hear. I know my 2 of my daughters are in the school system, and their teachers that they have are very excited about it as well as the students. So it's great to see the school community, the education community coming together and helping provide for our kids. And that's just part of the testament of how special our town is. When you go to people giving out cards for seniors that are in our nursing homes, that was something that came from our community base. I can't thank them enough. Also people helping people, paying things forward at different types of food places. People helping one another, people talking to seniors, helping seniors, requesting. We've gotten a tremendous amount of people calling the mayor's office. Pete, what can I do? How can I help? And it just shows the true character and how much of a special place our wonderful town is. And I can't thank them enough. I can't also thank enough our town employees. Each and every day they come in and they do yeoman's work, and I can't thank them enough, especially in these times of helping move our town government forward. Also, our first responders. A lot of them are also volunteers helping our community. And it's all what just makes this place so special. And I'm so proud. And I continue to say, we're the best town in the USA, that's for sure. Next is, thank you, Ray. I appreciate it. We'll continue to keep all of our residents as informed as best we can. Again, with these type of feeds, as well as reverse 911, as well as on our social sites as well. The better that we can keep all of us informed, the better decisions we all can make for the betterment of our community as we're going forward. According to the experts, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And as I said, we've got plans and protocols in place if indeed that becomes true. And we'll just continue to work together through this. And as I said, I can't thank our residents, our town employees, our volunteers enough for everything they do. And there's from Lori, is our hospital preparing for bed expansion? So New Milford Hospital is part of the New Vance system. So that includes Sharon, New Milford, Danbury, a couple other hospitals over in New York State. And they are prepared. As from what I understand, they have now a whole floor that is just for the coronavirus, and if needed, would expand. So they have their pros and protocols in place for different levels of service depending on the needs of what's going to be their patients. And lastly, I'd like to, as we're kind of wrapping this up for today, I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and asking questions. And again, as a community, working together, we can definitely get through this. We've been through many other trials and tribulations as a town itself, from world wars to measles, to mumps, to a different type of Iran-Iraq war, as I was talking about earlier today, from the one senior lady that was telling us, from polio. We've all been able to work together to get through major adversity, and we're going to continue to do so. And I'm proud and thankful for our community, and I look forward to having another one of these with you sometime next week when I can update you more on things that are happening. Again, I wish you and your family a blessed weekend, and look forward to hearing from you and providing these updates for you again. Thank you.